Want a chance to win your own free No Weather Radio? All you gotta do is subscribe to the channel and you're automatically registered. Now, onto the video. A major pattern shift later this week will allow the heat to build significantly in the west, bringing the potential for not only record-breaking temperatures, but taxing the power grid as well. How long will it last? We'll take a look. Coming your way next. Welcome back, everybody, to the Weather Nerds YouTube channel. I'm your host, Greg Majeski, your personal weatherman. And for this edition, we're going to talk about extreme heat, summertime heat that's going to be building in across parts of the United States. In fact, we're kind of heading toward a weather pattern that's a little unusual to see in the summertime, specifically dealing with what's known as a blocking pattern. I'll talk here in a little more detail about that here in just a second. But before we get started, if you could please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please consider it. It'd be an honor to bring you on board here. Just go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you're already a subscriber, and as always, you can help with the YouTube algorithm, please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment down below. It really does help with the YouTube algorithm. All right, we got plenty to get into for this edition. Let's go ahead and shift over and take a look at those upper level models. So we're going to be checking out the European model here. We're looking at the 500 millibar level. It's a little bit easier to see those upper level winds getting into this time of year to come down a little bit. So we're looking at the 500 millibar level, about 18,000 feet or so, as we're going to be watching a pretty strong jet stream here off of the west coast. But what we're going to be seeing is a trough that's going to be developing here in the east and some ridging that's going to be taking place out here in the west. So let's go ahead and take this forward here to the end of this week, into this upcoming Saturday. You'll see what I'm kind of talking about here is we're going to, again, get that pretty decent trough that's going to be digging there into the eastern part of the United States. And you notice as we head towards Saturday, we're going to see that ridging here out in the west. So the jet stream will be kind of doing this number here, like this. But this ridging here in the west is only going to get stronger as we go through the next 10 days. So as we go beyond Saturday, again, seeing that low kind of spinning there across areas of the Great Lakes and that trough just kind of sitting there, but that ridge in the west is going to hold firm and it's going to continue to get stronger as we go through time. What we're kind of seeing here is we've got this high pressure ridge that's going to be kind of developing here in the west. There's also a little bit of ridging out here out into the Atlantic. So it's a little bit of what's known as a blocking pattern. So you got this flow kind of like this, but sometimes known as an omega block because it kind of looks like the symbol omega there. So what this is going to allow is the heat to really build up in the west and really cause conditions to deteriorate as we head toward the middle of June. So when we're talking about things deteriorating in the west, we're talking about the buildup of the extreme heat. So we're going to drop down to 850 millibars levels here, and we're going to look at the temperature anomalies there. So when you're looking at the green and the blue, you're looking at areas there where you're looking at below normal temperatures, and then we're talking about the heat here in the reddish areas. Now we're going to watch is this stuff to really build up out here in the west. And we're going to see the cooler temperatures kind of coming in here across the eastern third of the United States. So let's take this forward in time into this upcoming weekend. We'll kind of stop it there as that brief cool down in the Pacific Northwest will be brief. You see in the cool air there across the Great Lakes as we head towards Saturday morning. So a nice little pool of cooler air here across the Midwest. But notice the heat here building up here through the west in response to that trough digging down in the east, and it'll continue to sit there and build over time. But you notice that we continue with a pretty good chunk of the country there from the plain states back over toward New England, the mid-Atlantic. This big swath in here looking at below normal temperatures sitting there at the 850 millibar level. That should transpire to some cooler, drier air even down to the surface. So maybe not quite as warm as you would typically see in June for those parts of the country. But there in the west, especially across the Pacific Northwest, look what happens as we head toward next week. We're talking about some extreme heat really developing here across Northern California into the Pacific Northwest, Oregon. You can see temperatures there by the end of this run getting up into the triple digits for not only areas in the southwest, but also there into areas up into the northwest as well, as we're going to see the 850 millibar level showing that extreme heat really kind of locking in here across the western third of the country, whereas we kind of see things not so hot here across parts of Texas and back here across the southeast as we head into Thursday of next week on the 13th. So how does all this building heat at the 5,000 foot level at 850 translate to the surface? Well, as we begin looking here on Tuesday morning, things looking pretty good, feeling pretty nice here across the interior sections of the Pacific Northwest. in the interior portions of the Rockies. You can see that pretty clearly here. Temperatures are sitting here into the 30s for morning lows, but we're going to see this heat really start to build up and move up this way as we go further into the future. So as we go ahead and take this forward again, as we head into this upcoming weekend, you're really going to notice that heat really start to build there. Look at there as we head into Wednesday, by example. Already seeing those triple digits here building across the interior sections of California. Still not looking too bad here across the Northwest, but that is going to change. Look what happens as we head into this upcoming Saturday for sure. Seeing that heat just really start to just throb and kind of pulsate further and further north. By the time we get into Saturday, things are going to be running well into the 90s now. Look at this. We're seeing in temperatures here into the eastern portions of Washington State running into the middle 90s already. You're seeing the triple digits here across areas of the Southwest, and Nevada getting pretty hot as well. As that heat will continue to build and really steps up into another level as we head in toward next week. So as we go to the end of this run, by the time we go into late in the day on your Thursday, so we're talking about 5 o'clock Western time here, you're looking at the interior sections here of Washington State seeing triple digits. You're seeing the triple digits here across California, stretching all the way back into the Southwest. In fact, areas around Phoenix could be topping 115 degrees. That's definitely early for them to see those kind of levels there in basically the middle portion of June. And it looks like a lot of the interior sections are going to be very hot and they're going to be very dry. So we're going to have the heat in the west. How are things looking in the east? So it's going to be a different story for folks here in the east, which we're going to see some cooler, dry air kind of filtering here as we go through the next 9 days or so. As you can see here, as this cool air kind of moves on in, you can see its influence, especially along the Great Lakes here. Look at the blue kind of picking up in there. So that's indications of the 50s that are coming in here. We'll stop in here as we get toward Friday morning. As we go toward Friday morning, you see the blue here really kind of stepping down. You see it here across the areas of the Appalachians. Look at all the 50s in here with the cooler air across the Great Lakes. Kind of filtering on in here, as that's going to continue to be seeing its influence linger in there. And that means those daytime highs are really not going to be that bad. Look at here as we step toward the afternoon hours. Look at these high temperatures in the 60s across areas of the Midwest. I mean, this is feeling very good indeed. Low 80s here across the portions of the Tennessee River Valley. Still got some heat down here across South Georgia and around the Gulf Coast states, sitting in the 90s there. But the most of the east is going to be seeing a nice little cool off. Let's check it out for Saturday morning as well into Saturday afternoon. Again, you're still seeing temperatures quite comfortable here across the Northeast in the 50s and 60s for daytime highs. A big flip-flop from the extreme heat that they're going to be seeing out into the west. And look at the morning lows going into Sunday morning. Again, I'll back that up one more here. You can kind of see there. Look at it. You got some 50s and even a few 40s kind of scattered about in here as well, with that cool air going into this upcoming Sunday. And it looks like that's just going to be sticking around, really. I mean, it doesn't look like we're going to see any major warm-ups here as we go through the rest of this model run with those unseasonably cool temperatures that are going to kind of stick in there straight into next Wednesday and Thursday as well. As you take a look at the daytime highs at the end of this run, I mean, 70s and low 80s, really not that bad. Maybe a little bit of 90s down here into Georgia, but really the summertime heat's going to get a break for the eastern portion of the United States. So finally, wrapping things up as we take a look at the precipitation outlook here, it's going to take you into the middle end of next week. We're going to see things stay a bit on the dry side, obviously here in the west, thanks to that ridging buildup there. And it's going to stay unsettled into the east with this projection of cold fronts that'll be coming down. In fact, these cold fronts will get as far south as Florida and kind of enhancing the rain threat down there as well as we go through this forecast period. So let's go ahead and take this forward again. As you can see, the rain and a few thunderstorms not out of the question here as we go in throughout the day on your Wednesday, stretching through the Midwest and stretching back into the southeast as this progresses off toward the east. And you see that low just kind of spinning around the Great Lakes. That's going to be setting off again some showers and maybe some rumbles of thunder up this way. But generally looking very quiet and dry out here in the west. That's because of that ridging obviously out there. So expecting things to stay dry there as that high pressure is just going to start to dominate out there in the west as we go through this into this upcoming weekend. So we got a little cluster of storms that we'll watch here as we go into overnight Saturday into Sunday. So we'll need to watch this. Maybe a little bit of severe weather potential with that as we go through overnight Saturday into Sunday, as this will track into the southeast. Seeing the rain and storms there going into Monday as well. and that front will kind of go into the southeast, just kind of stall there across Florida. But most of the country going into next week looking pretty dry, except there along the Gulf Coast there. And you see a little cool pull with some showers here, kind of breaking up here with that cooler air there across the middle portion of the country as well. And again, not really looking too bad, except it's going to be pretty wet and rainy down here in Florida. Could be a little bit of tropical enhancement with that as well, and some scattered showers here into the northeast and the mid-Atlantic. But look how dry it is out here in the west, folks. That's where that heat's really going to start to build. And then we're going to have to really watch the drought conditions very closely out here in the west over the next 2 weeks, because that will definitely increase the risk for fires. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look real quick at the current drought index. So a quick look at the U.S. Drought Monitor map here. You can see where the drought conditions are the worst, really kind of here across portions of, say, New Mexico and down toward Texas. But California, which has been pretty wet here for the last couple of years, is looking pretty quiet for the moment. And we're seeing a little bit of drought conditions here across portions of the Pacific Northwest for Washington and Idaho. What I suspect is going to happen here over the next couple of weeks is we're going to see these conditions begin to deteriorate here out in the west because of the heat that's going to be building in this area. So we'll do a comparison a little bit later in the month to see how things quickly change as the heat and the dry conditions build in the west. Well, it is, of course, meteorological summer now. We're in the month of June, and seeing that extreme heat build in the west could be something I'm going to watch very closely over the next couple of weeks, as well as the kind of unsettled and cool temperatures that we're going to see here in the east. So if you would like to get future updates on what we can expect in your forecast, all you got to do is please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And as always, tell me what you think. Give me some feedback. Give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate your helping to build a better channel for you guys. All right, that'll do it for this edition. Again, you guys take it easy, be good, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next report. Until then, bye-bye for now.